Good morning. There's a verse I've been avoiding, and that's Isaiah 32. But somebody mentioned it last week. Thank you very much. And thank you for all your comments. Isaiah 32 verse 1. A king will reign in righteousness, and princes will rule in justice. Each will be like a hiding place from the wind. The reason I avoided it was because of Watchtower's interpretation, which is this. So Watchtower says that elders are princes who are the shelter from the wind. I always thought the elders were the wind and we needed shelter from them. So how did they reach that interpretation? Well, it seems to be connected to their translation of Psalm 68 and verse 18, which says, "You ascended on high, leading a host of captives in your train and receiving gifts among men." Now, Paul quoted this in Ephesians 4 and verse 8, where it says, "He ascended on high, he led a host of captives, and he gave gifts to men." Now, Watchtower has translated this differently, and this is how they've translated Psalm 68 and how they have applied Ephesians 4 and verse 8. See how you get on with this. Watchtower translates Psalm 68:18 as, "You carried away captives, you took gifts in the form of men." When Geoffrey Winder and Gage Flegel were made governing body members, you'll note at the bottom of this page they are called gifts in men. No other Bible translator translates it this way. So what is the psalm really about? David wrote it apparently when they were bringing the Ark of the Covenant back to Jerusalem, and with great rejoicing he wrote this psalm, and he had to ascend Mount Zion, because of course it's a mountain, so he went up it to bring the Ark of the Covenant back. And because the Ark was there, then it brought many blessings to the Israelites, which you can read in the chapter. We might just have a quick look at the Hebrew, because what's actually in the original is quite interesting. From the Hebrew, the third line down, you will notice it's translated as, "You have led captive captivity." In other words, there will be no more captivity. This is very similar to Hebrews chapter 2, where it speaks of Jesus putting an end to death. So under the reign of David, the Jews could live freely without fear of captivity. So when Paul applies this to Jesus Christ, he said, when he ascended on high, so just as David had to ascend Mount Zion, Jesus ascended to heaven, from where, as it says in verse 7, grace was given to each one of us according to the measure of Christ's gifts. It's the gifts from Christ and God to us. So what does Isaiah 32 mean when it talks about a king reigning in righteousness and the princes ruling in justice and being a hiding place from the wind? Some commentaries apply this to Hezekiah, because after all the horrible kings that were there before him, Hezekiah was a good king, brought peace. But many say this is a Messianic prophecy, and really a king will reign in righteousness. That can only be Jesus Christ. Now, princes ruling in justice implies an administration. Now, that fits in with Revelation 5 and verse 10, where it says that with Jesus' blood, he ransomed people for God. Verse 10, "You made them to be a kingdom and priests to our God, and they shall reign on the earth." So these ones will reign in accordance with Jesus Christ's rule, not Watchtower's. And Jesus Christ and his fellow kings will be a hiding place from the wind. So we don't have to be avoiding Isaiah 32, or I don't anyway, because it's a most wonderful prophecy of peace to come when Jesus will rule and make sure that this planet is treated as it should be, full of peace and kindness and love. In these awful days of wars, heat waves, earthquakes, volcanoes, wars, famines, disasters, this is something we can truly look forward to, a time of peace and real justice. So God be with us all.